I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did.
Number 30, Talk to Me. Peer pressure can be a killer, a fact Mia comes to know all too well. In Talk to Me, the protagonist and her best friend Jade learn about a strange new trend amongst their friend group. Although it initially seems like it may just be a fun party trick, it is soon revealed to be a terrifyingly real gateway to the undead, as Mia grabs hold of a hand and comes face to face with a corpse.
Run, 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 run.
Despite the horrifying implications, Mia becomes addicted to the thrill of possession, hoping that she can find her recently deceased mother amongst the crowd. Sophie Wilde is giving her all in the film's lead role, pivoting from spine-chilling horror to devastating displays of grief with ease.
I think that was your mom, Mia.
No, it was at first. She used to call me Mia all the time. I mean, how would the spirits know that?
Number 29, Prey, the prequel we didn't know we needed. As the 7th film to be released in the Predator franchise, it's understandable that some fans approached Prey with a healthy amount of skepticism. But the film's dedication to melding franchise lore with historical authenticity led to it being one of the film series' most beloved entries.
What do you think left those tracks? And skinned that snake, and before I fell, I saw lightning in the trees.
Naru.
There's something else out there.
Even the toothbrushes were meticulously crafted to be era accurate. At a time when CG reigned supreme, Prey also opted to use practical effects for its iconic antagonist, and it paid off in a big way. The film has one of the franchise's most fearsome depictions of the Predator, and the suit's real-world physicality adds a layer of authenticity to the acting that can be lost in CGI-heavy productions. Number 28, Terrifier 2. Horror is one of the few genres where audience members walking out can be seen as a badge of honor. This movie didn't just have people walking out, it apparently had some moviegoers leaving in ambulances.
Do you have any idea how insensitive that is? Not to mention sick?
Made on a crowd-funded budget of $250,000, Terrifier 2 was something of a passion project for Damien Leone, who had been developing its antagonist, Art the Clown, for close to 2 decades prior to its release. Clearly, the director's dedication paid off, as the film became a surprise hit despite its polarizing gore and violence, earning over $15 million in profits. Actress Lauren Lavera played no small part in this mainstream success, providing the Terrifier franchise with its first fully fleshed out final girl, Sienna Shaw.
You're right about everything.
I was right about you, too.
About what?
They used me to get you here. They need you in this place for a reason.
Number 27, The Strangers.
You don't have to do. You can stop now. You. Please!
Our next entry is a tense and chilling horror movie that might not be as graphic or action-packed as other films on this list, one that plays on our fears of humanity. The Strangers is a realistic movie about 2 everyday people being tormented for no reason whatsoever. It was also inspired by real events, including the Manson murders, lending it an even scarier degree of credibility. While ghosts and elaborate trap-making serial killers are fun, they take place outside of our everyday existence. The Strangers reminds us that darkness and depravity does exist, sometimes literally in our own backyards. Number 26, Barbarian. There's no denying Barbarian's dark sense of humor, but his well-crafted scares still place it firmly in the horror category. An Airbnb mix-up begins this sordid tale of decades-old secrets, and to say that travelers Tess and Keith are unprepared for what awaits them in their unexpectedly shared living arrangement is an understatement.
Someone else is down here.
What?
Someone bit me.
A series of narrative twists and turns keeps the characters and viewers on their toes, as the film slowly unravels the barbaric truth behind the Brightmoor home, that the true monster is not the disfigured woman keeping people captive, but a relatively normal-looking father is just one of many brilliant subversions by this clever modern horror. Number 25, Black Swan.
Fine, then it's garbage.
No, Mom, don't. I'm sorry.
Darren Aronofsky was already a veteran director in Hollywood by the time 2010 came around, but he really made his mark in the horror world with Black Swan. Exposing a more macabre side to the world of professional ballet, the film stars Natalie Portman as Nina Sayers, a young dancer with the New York City Ballet Company who shoulders the immense pressure of playing the dual role of both the black and white swan in a production of Swan Lake.
Très bien, Véronica.
As the stress of her position begins to chip away at Nina's mental health, she becomes a danger to herself and others. It makes for an intoxicating and magical viewing experience, and an essential entry in 21st century horror. Number 24, The Wailing. As a South Korean horror film with a runtime approaching 3 hours, The Wailing may appear to be an intimidating watch to more casual moviegoers. Fortunately, this supernatural horror is so intense and tightly written that you won't want to peel your eyes away. It focuses on the spread of an infection that causes people to harm those around them indiscriminately. Thought to be brought into Koksung by a demon taking the form of a Japanese man, the disease leads to mistrust among the community as a series of motiveless murders pile up. At one point, an intense exorcism is even attempted to rid the protagonist's daughter of the supposed infection, but it cannot stop the unrelenting horror brought by the red-eyed demon. Number 23, The Descent.
Juno, are you sure we're going the right way?
Relax, I've never been lost in my life.
Marvelous.
If you or any of your friends ever debated going spelunking into uncharted caves, 2005's The Descent should provide some much-needed discouragement. Upon the journey into the abyss, things go horribly wrong. It quickly becomes a struggle to survive against the abominations that are stalking them.
Sarah thinks she saw someone back
So
there.
what?
I don't think I saw someone. I saw someone.
No, you heard something and you saw what you wanted to see. It's the dark. It plays tricks on people.
The Descent, as a title, can be interpreted both literally and as a descent into madness, with plenty of gore, a claustrophobic setting, and more creepy crawlies than one's sanity can handle. The fear of what lies beneath has since become a popular theme in horror, and we might have this British classic to thank for it.
Down! What are you doing? Come back!
Number 22, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. It opens with a mystery. Father-son coroners Tommy and Austin have been tasked with finding out what happened to create the horrific crime scene in the film's opening.
Judging by the progress it made through his bloodstream, he was already dead by the time somebody blew his face off.
Their first autopsy is more graphic than one you'd see on a primetime crime show, but otherwise, fairly run-of-the-mill. But when they start examining the Jane Doe, they begin to find anomalies. Dread begins to set in as more and more interior injuries fail to match up with the condition of the corpse's body. By the time Tommy and Austin realize something supernatural is afoot, it's already too late. The film's horror concept is uniquely terrifying, and its open-ended final scene is sure to leave viewers on edge long after the credits roll.
When we cut into her, she tried to stop us each time. It's like there's something she doesn't want us to find.
Number 21, Pearl. In 2022, Ty West gave us 2 original horror films, X and Pearl. Part of a film series also titled X, the movies had unique, well-rounded characters and aesthetics inspired by films of the past. While there is some debate as to which entry comes out on top, we tend to prefer the Technicolor terror that is Pearl. Taking cues from the classic Hollywood era, particularly The Wizard of Oz, Pearl is a spine-chilling subversion of a visual style typically associated with screwball comedy and exaggerated melodrama.
You're not gonna leave me here! I'm not staying on this farm!
And of course, the translation of Pearl from the murderous granny in X to a bright-eyed German immigrant with big dreams could not have been achieved without the trilogy's star, Mia Goth. She absolutely kills it.
Seems like there's something missing in me that the rest of the world has.
Number 20, Raw. College can be an important time of transition and self-discovery. Unfortunately for Justine, her first week at veterinary school leads her to discover a taste for human flesh.
C'est de la viande?
C'est un rat de lapin, vaut mieux pas le savoir avant en général.
Mais le truc c'est que moi je suis végétarienne, je peux pas manger ça.
The main character of Raw, Justine initially struggles against her newfound craving, before finally giving into her desires in increasingly daring ways. The movie depicts this descent in gory, grotesque detail that is certain to make even the most seasoned horror fans squirm in their seats. The fact that Raw is the feature debut of its director, Julia Ducournau, only makes its skin-crawling horror all the more impressive. Following in the footsteps of David Cronenberg, Ducorno has brought back the body horror better than ever.
Pour toi que j'ai fait ça, putain, tu fais chier! Faut bien que t'apprennes, non?
Number 19, Let the Right One In.
Vi ska ha en liten tävling nu. Du stannar under vattnet i 3 minuter. Fixar du så gör jag bara en liten rispa.
With Nordic noir thrillers on the rise, audiences were not surprised when John Ajvide Lindqvist, Sweden's answer to Stephen King, became an overnight sensation. There was also no doubt that his screenplay, based on his own novel, was going to be a hit. But it didn't only become a hit, it took the world by storm. The big screen adaptation of his atmospheric tale of a young boy who befriends a young vampire was an immense critical and box office success, winning plenty of awards and immediately greenlighting an American remake. It plays less like a vampire movie and more like a snowy Arctic fever dream, though it's still got plenty of horror elements as well.
Är du vampyr? Jag lever på blod.
Number 18, Drag Me to Hell.
Soon it will be you who comes begging to me.
Drag Me to Hell saw the long-awaited return of Sam Raimi to the genre that gave him his humble beginnings with Evil Dead. The idea came from a script he had been working on with his brother Ivan throughout the decade, during which he was working on the Spider-Man trilogy. This morality tale follows a young lone officer who regrettably refuses an extension for an old woman, who in turn puts a curse on her so that she'll be dragged to hell in 3 days. The director more than delivers all the nasty fun you'd expect from him. Number 17, A Quiet Place. If you've ever wondered how long you can hold your breath, try this 90-minute horror on for size. While we don't advise doing this literally, it may be hard to stop yourself as the palpable tension builds in A Quiet Place. In lieu of much spoken dialogue, this film relies on a thrilling score and expert sound design to build its apocalyptic world. This is because the film's nameless alien antagonists use super hearing as their primary means of finding prey. While some films of this nature may have relied on the written word for communication between characters, A Quiet Place is notable for casting a deaf actress in a leading role and teaching its hearing cast to appear fluent in American Sign Language. Number 16, The Witch. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Robert Eggers' slow burn horror might not be for everyone, but for those in tune with his dark aesthetic and sinister sensibilities, it's nothing short of a masterpiece. Set in 1600s New England, The Witch focuses on an exiled family who become the victims of a series of devastating misfortunes, beginning with the death of their newborn child. Though it's hard to believe given the plethora of top-notch performances she's delivered afterwards, the film also starred Anya Taylor-Joy in her feature film debut as the family's daughter, Thomasin.
You are a hypocrite!
Hold thy tongue, daughter mine.
You took Caleb to the wood and let me take the blame of that too. Is that truth?
Eggers would later go on to highlight the talents of Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in the tense psychological thriller, The Lighthouse.
This ain't funny.
No, it ain't. And I ain't wanting to be stranded here with some damn lunatic.
Number 15, Evil Dead.
You are all going to die tonight.
Horror reboots can be extremely hit or miss, and most suck. But some, like Evil Dead, manage to successfully bring the story and characters to modern audiences. While the first Evil Dead delivered some genuine scares in 1981, this reboot completely does away with the original sense of humor, as it is interested solely in scaring and revolting its audience.
It's not gonna stop until he has you. Until he has all of you!
Telling the story of a detox trip gone wrong, this brutally terrifying film will have you thinking twice about reciting random incantations from books found in mysterious cabins, if you were ever thinking about it. Seriously though, even for horror fans, Evil Dead is not for the faint of heart. Number 14, The Invisible Man.
It's some kind of suit that Adrian has built, and it has cameras, and it somehow... What?
Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman are among Universal's more recognizable classic monsters. Typically, The Invisible Man doesn't get nearly as much love from the studio, so it was interesting to see his story updated for a more contemporary crowd. Unlike the 1933 film, 2020's The Invisible Man does not cast its titular character as the protagonist, opting instead to follow the deteriorating mental state of a woman who is terrorized by him. This radical perspective change allows for the movie to act as a metaphor for the horrifying reality of abuse and its traumatizing effects. It's a whole new layer of depth to a once simplistic story of a man corrupted by power.
There you are.
Number 13, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. For her first feature-length film, Anna Lily Amirpour invites audiences into an enchanting black and white world that plays with societal ideas about vampires and womanhood. Its small crowd-funded budget forced Amirpour to be creative in the film's construction, but didn't hinder its stylish visuals or its strong feminist themes. She even shot the Iranian set film in California to avoid any censorship of its content, which includes controversial subjects like sex work, drug use, and generational trauma. An eerie atmosphere haunts every moment of this slow-paced horror, adding a healthy dose of fear to its significant social messaging.
بدت میاد از این کاری که میکنی.
داری منو تماشا میکنی؟
شبا.
Number 12, Final Destination.
In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes.
Amidst the slasher craze of the 2000s, New Line Cinema took it one step further and turned Death himself into the antagonist. Based on an abandoned X-Files script idea, the twisted story follows a group of teens that narrowly escapes a fatal plane explosion. Well, Death is feeling cheated and decides to kill them off anyway in bizarre Rube Goldberg-like ways. With a villain you never see, a cruel moral to the story of never being able to escape death, and some of the most creative cinematic kills, this box office smash gets major props from the horror community.
I told you were next!
Number 11, The Babadook. Whether or not you see the Babadook's titular antagonist as a metaphor for grief or depression, or both, there's no denying its extraordinary take on the horror genre. Notably, it is a film that is as sympathetic as it is scary, a breath of fresh air in a sea of genre films eager to undermine their mentally unstable heroes. This makes it stand out from the crowd of not only its predecessors, but those who attempted to mirror its success with similarly analogous monsters.
You're not my mother!
The delivery of the fearsome Babadook's background is equally inspired, as the audience is introduced to his mythology through the unsettling illustrations in a children's story.
This is what he wears on top. He's funny, don't you think? See him in your room at night.
Number 10, The Ring. During a decade that was drowning in terrible American remakes, this gem easily stood out, mostly because of the talent behind it. With the brilliant director who'd be behind the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise and future Oscar-nominated Naomi Watts in the lead role, you had a surefire hit. A psychological horror flick about a vengeful ghost who uses a videotape to kill her victims. This is a movie that took everything that was already great about the original and built upon it. More backstory, more human emotion, and more deadly thrills. In terms of influence, few films have had as pronounced effect on the horror genre as The Ring. Number 9, It Follows. Having sex in a horror film is a recipe for disaster. In Scream, Randy even lists it as the first of 3 rules to surviving a horror movie.
Number 1, you can never have sex. Big no-no!
It Follows takes the trope up a notch, giving its characters the ability to pass their nightmarish stalkers on like STDs. Understandably opposed to transferring her fate over to an unsuspecting victim, Jay does everything in her power to try and kill off her ever-changing followers without hurting anyone else.
See? Everything's okay.
Her quest plays out like a bad dream that's impossible to wake up from, complete with an unclear sense of time and space. We'd hate to be a part of it, but we'd be lying if we said we didn't want one of those shell phones. Number 8, The Cabin in the Woods.
I gotta dismember that guy with the trowel. What have you been up to?
Yes, this film at times feels more comedic than overtly horrific, but we like to remind you that it's still got some solid scary moments. What really earns this movie a spot on this list, however, is how deftly it manages to subvert expectations. And really, isn't that the hallmark of a great horror film? The Cabin in the Woods initially comes across like any old supernatural or slasher teen horror flick, but below this so-called cabin lies an elaborate government conspiracy, one that makes the whole thing not only feel like a brilliant love letter to the horror genre, but a few dozen different movies fighting one another for screen time. It's chaotic, brilliantly crafted, and just a whole lot of fun.
I'm sorry.
So am I.
Number 7. Saw. The one that started it all. The complex puzzle and mystery behind these two men stuck in a room with a dead body plays out more like a demented Samuel Beckett play. Still, there are tons of cringeworthy moments, from a brilliant script that keeps you guessing to a jaw-dropping ending you will never forget. Saw's legacy is basically as big as it gets.
You're probably wondering where you are. I'll tell you where you might be. You might be in the room that you die in.
Number 6. It.
Hiya, Georgie.
Unless you've been living in the sewers this past decade, you're likely aware of this 2017 Stephen King adaptation. Upon release, the film held the record for the R-rated film with the biggest theatrical opening, boasting over $200 million in profits. While some of the success can be attributed to the movie's extensive marketing campaign, it also must be said that it's just that good.
We'll float down here. Yes, we do.
Bill Skarsgård brilliantly brought to life Pennywise, striking fear into a new generation with updated scares and a whole new look, while the teen actors helped carry the film's necessary emotional weight. Along with Skarsgård, Sophia Lillis received the brunt of the film's praise, including several individual award nominations.
This is what it wants. It wants to divide us. We were all together when we heard it. That's why we're still alive.
Number 5, 28 Days Later.
It was the blood. Or something in the blood. By the time they tried to evacuate the cities, it was already too late.
Like Stanley Kubrick before him, Danny Boyle is the kind of prolific director that likes playing with different genres. After the major successes of Trainspotting and The Beach, he set his eyes on horror, and boy did he leave his mark. A different take on the zombie film, 28 Days Later is an apocalyptic contagion masterpiece with a brilliant narrative, haunting opening sequence, and devastating scenarios featuring the breakthrough performance of a young Cillian Murphy. While the virus in question is turning people into violent mutating creatures, it turns us into a blubbering mess behind the couch.
That was longer than a heartbeat.
Tim?
Number 4, The Conjuring.
Well, honey, I'm pretty sure that it was just a bad dream.
No, no, it talked to me. It said that it wants my family dead.
After unleashing not one, but 2 major horror franchises upon the world with Saw and Insidious, filmmaker James Wan delivered one of the greatest haunted house films in years. Unlike most of the movies on our list, The Conjuring doesn't necessarily feel like it pushes the boundaries of the genre. In fact, it's decidedly old school. What makes it so worthwhile, however, is its attention to detail.
This dark entity has latched itself to your family, and it's feeding off you.
It's an incredibly well-crafted and expertly paced film, with well-developed characters that we really care about. Wan's knack for building tension and breaking it with terrifying scares is a testament to his horror movie experience. In short, it's the perfect supernatural horror film, one with superb scares and a whole lot of replay value.
You're not a priest?
Well, you got a better idea.
He can do it. You can do it.
You gotta get out of here.
I'm not leaving you!
Damn it, Lorraine, I'm not doing this with you in here!
Number 3, Wreck.
Mari Carmen, que es la mujer que ha llamado a los bomberos de la policía, dice...
We're starting to see a pattern. Take an established theme, put in some very talented hands, and watch something refreshing come to life. Rising Spanish horror directors Paco Plaza and Jaume Balagueró brought the found footage style to a zombie virus outbreak and gave the world this dizzying roller coaster ride in which we trail a news crew that has been following the fire department. It all seems like a boring night until they're locked up in a tenement building where the residents are starting to get a little violent and, well, a little undead. For its influence and legacy in the found footage subgenre, Rec takes our number 3 spot.
¿Por qué? ¿Qué pasa?
Number 2, Get Out.
Get out! Yo! Yo, chill, man. Get out! Chill, man!
After establishing himself as an actor and comedian, Jordan Peele made a surprising career turn with Get Out. Beginning as a darkly comedic psychological thriller, the film's biggest antagonist initially appears to be racism. This is, of course, still the case by the film's end, but its shocking last act twist really brings the terror to a whole new level. With an instantly gripping script and stellar performances, it should come as no surprise that Get Out became one of the few horror films to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Peele would follow this success up with the equally impressive Us and Nope, becoming one of the decade's best and most consistent horror directors. Number 1, Hereditary.
And I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did.
Annie is not okay. Following a sudden death in the family, the grieving mother begins lashing out at her son Peter and turning to supernatural means to communicate with the one she lost. The already horrific situation ramps up in intensity, culminating in a climax that still gives us nightmares. The film's uniquely volatile portrayal of generational trauma was a smash hit for indie studio A24, and even heralded by one critic as the scariest movie of 2018.
This was painted above the body, right? In blood.
Director Ari Aster's follow-up folk horror, Midsommar, took things up a notch in the shock department, but Hereditary remains his masterpiece and the gold standard for all horror films that follow in the next decade. What horror movie releases are you most looking forward to? Let us know in the comments.
Look at what's in front of you. Booze, 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 moving up and down again.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.